Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in, and happy Friday. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley. Our show, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you, as I said, by SCVI, and I lead schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a vibrant homeschool program. We've got a TK through 12 fully accredited online school. Yeah, I know. You got to check us out. You really can. If you're thinking you can't, you really can. We've got a format for just about every learning style because, if kids can't learn the way we're teaching, then we need to teach the way kids can learn. For more information about any of our schools, our campus-based schools, our virtual schools, check us out at ileadschools.org. And, ileadschools.org, and take a look at all of our schools, any of our schools, and find the right format for you and your children. So we keep our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation, but like the show says, we like to keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in Santa Clarita and beyond, and we try to do so while putting a smile on your face, because, if you're not giggling, you're not chuckling, you're not doing it right. So yeah, all right. It's finally starting to warm up out there, still got some June gloom going on, but it is summertime, and when it's summertime, summertime for me is always a time of music. Different songs always pop into my head when it's summertime. What about you, Carlos? You got a favorite song, a summertime song that pops into your head? Summertime is perfect for cookouts, baseballs, campfires, first loves, music. Some of the most iconic songs are summertime songs. So. When I say summertime playlist, hey Carlos, what pops into your head, man? What's a summertime song?
Well, pretty much anything Bob Marley related. Just because
oh, there we go.
Bob Marley reminds me of just being on the pool side.
On the pool at the beach, you're jamming. I like it. For me, I was a kid of the '80s, and so it's one of two. It's either Bananarama, right? Cruel Summer. I got to start with that crazy marimba solo, or DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. That one's just kind of the self-titled summertime. So, what about you? What do you got? You got Sly and the Family Stone, Seals and Croft, maybe Nelly, right? It's getting hot in here. So, who you got? Who's your summertime go-to? Well, whatever it is, you just go ahead and cue it up. Get it ready to play on repeat this weekend, because summertime is definitely here. But not yet. Well, summertime is here, but don't kick those songs in yet, because boy, do we have a great show for you today. We've got Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo here. She is in studio. We're super excited. We've got lots of questions to ask her, and that'll be coming up in just one moment. She just really hit the ground running when she was inaugurated, and has not slowed down. If anything, she's just getting warmed up. In hour number 2, we've got Jessica Boyer from SCVTV coming in. Do you know Jessica? Jessica's amazing. She is one of the up-and-coming generation that is taking her place in the leadership in Santa Clarita. She's great. And yes, I know. I've got some Big T fans out there, so we will, as we do, we wrap the show with some fun and some trivia with a Big T. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show. Thanks so much for joining us. You are in for a treat. As I said, my first guest today is Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo. She was elected to the California State Assembly in November of 2022, just last fall, to represent the 40th Assembly District, representing the Northwest San Fernando Valley and the Santa Clarita Valley here. And upon her election, she was appointed as Assistant Majority Whip. That is amazing, in the first term, by Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon. Prior to her election, Assemblywoman Schiavo was a small business owner and nurse advocate who worked in the labor movement for more than 20 years on issues that deeply impact people's lives. She herself is the daughter of small business owners. Her father, a logger who became an electrician after 2 battles with cancer following exposure to Agent Orange while serving in the U.S. military. And her mom, a bookkeeper who managed the family electrical business. When her dad got a union job, she saw the life-changing impacts it had on her family. It is that transformative experience, along with her desire to help children and families, that led her to the labor movement, where she fought to lift up families just like hers. Assemblywoman Schiavo lives in Chatsworth with her daughter Sophia, where they love to hike in the Santa Susana Mountains. She has been involved in the PTA of her daughter's neighborhood public school. Her stepdaughter, Germany, graduated from Granada Hills Charter High School, whoop whoop, shout out for charters, and is now a senior in college studying business administration. Assemblywoman Schiavo, good morning and welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you. So, first off, I got to ask, I put Engineer Carlos on the spot. We're talking about summer finally arriving. It's trying to peek through that June gloom.
I know.
So, when you think of summertime, what's you got a summertime song? What's a summertime song that pops into your mind?
The first thing that popped into my head was Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles.
I
don't know if it's the watermelon part or
Okay.
it's just the grooviness of the song, but that one, like the first one that popped up.
Oh, yeah, and nothing can help you relax by the side of the pool like Harry Styles. I love that. Okay, cool. So let's get to business. Tell us a little bit more about your career, because you've had a fascinating career. You really have. So tell us a little bit about your career, and then what led you into politics and eventually inspired you to run for the Assembly.
So you mentioned, my parents' background. I grew up kind of unconventional in a lot of ways. My dad was a logger, and my mom would actually load us up in the car at the end of summer or at the end of school years, and we would go camp in the woods all summer long, wherever my dad was logging, all throughout the Pacific Northwest. So that, I think, is one of the reasons I grew up really loving nature, being out in rivers and streams all summer long. And one of the reasons I ended up in Chatsworth, because we can, walk to hiking trails right from our house. But it also meant, our family struggled a lot over the years growing up. I never thought it was fair that my dad worked so hard and still had a hard time paying the bills. And when I got out of college, I really wanted to work with youth and at-risk kids, and ended up working for a tribal Head Start program for early childhood education for a tribe in Oregon. And I was learning a lot of new information at the time about early childhood brain development, and how the one thing that impacts every aspect of a child's brain development is actually the economics of a family, which blew me away.
Right?
Yes. And I realized if I really wanted to help kids and I really wanted to make a change in their lives, I needed to change the economics of their whole family.
Okay.
And that's what actually led me to the labor movement, realizing that, people went from overnight from not having health benefits, which I grew up with not having health benefits in my family, not having retirement security, a living wage, and seeing how that could change people's lives in such a significant way and change it for whole families was really amazing. So I worked for the last 13 years for the California Nurses Association, where I also worked a lot on health policy. Obviously, my dad's struggling with cancer twice. He's actually now on his third fight against cancer, because he used to fix the planes that would spray Agent Orange in Vietnam. And so he patched up the bullet holes and sometimes would be drenched in it himself. And so it's been a lifelong struggle. He's beat it twice, so we expect him to beat it again. But, if we didn't have the VA, I don't know if my dad would be here today. And so knowing that families, don't have that choice between the healthcare they need or paying for their home or food on the table, that's been a big passion of mine to fight for. So as a nurse advocate with CNA, I've been fighting to make sure that people have healthcare when they need it, and also, fighting for nurses and safe patient care in hospitals throughout the state. And that's kind of, what led me to do this work today.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and it's I didn't realize the deep impact as a teacher. You see it, and there are plenty of studies, but that close of a physical impact on children is something like healthcare. I know,
right.
As a teacher, we don't get a tremendous amount of compensation, but we typically have decent healthcare, and that's something I've always enjoyed. But I remember there was a bout an 8-month gap with my family where we didn't have health care, and it was funny. We got through it for the most part pretty well, but I remember the day I got a phone call at work from the school nurse saying everything's good, but your daughter fell on the yard and broke her arm. Oh. And that's the first thing a father should be thinking is, oh my goodness, is my little girl okay? And that's not what came to my mind.
Right.
It was, oh my Lord, how are we going to pay for this?
How much will it cost me in the ER?
Yeah, and fortunately, like I said, such a small window.
Yes.
I don't think it had any long-term impact on us, but I can't imagine families that go long-term. So I mentioned you were recently elected in 2022, and again, congratulations. And I always wonder, because starting a new job is always a little scary, a little bit exciting, and gosh, talk about starting a new job. So you arrive in Sacramento. What are some of the things that have been going on? What have you enjoyed? What have you been surprised by? What have you had to adjust to as you took office?
It has been, I love it. I keep telling people, there's a whole saying in Sacramento, especially for all, because we have a very large freshman class this year. There were a lot of open seats, and so we have a lot of new folks who've come in. And so the whole narrative in Sacramento is that, when you get started, it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. And It is a little bit like that, but it's so interesting and it's so exciting to be able to have your fingers and be engaged on the biggest issues that we're grappling with in California, and how we, make sure that we make our climate goals, and how we make sure that we continue to build and grow and support a strong education system, and how we make sure that we are, addressing healthcare, addressing our housing crisis, are some real solutions to homelessness. All of those things, I get to have a hand on and help shape. And so it's an amazing opportunity. I'm so excited to do it. It's incredibly interesting, and I just, I don't want to waste a day, and so that's why we said in our campaign we would hit the ground running. We truly have, and our staff here in the district has been a big piece of that, working so hard and being everywhere when I have to be in Sacramento. But we're here. I fly up and back with my daughter every week, so we fly up on Sundays, we fly back on Thursdays, so we're here half the time, and there's basically not a day off for me, unless you count flying and traveling for 5 hours on Sundays.
A day off.
Yeah, from door to door, it ends up being 5 hours.
So
I don't know
relaxing.
Why. Yeah, but it in terms of surprises, what ended up being the hardest thing was actually my daughter. The transition for my daughter was very, very difficult. She's in 5th grade, which is a hard time to change schools.
Sure.
It's such a hard time. And unfortunately, she went up. I had her in a school where her cousin is going, who my brother lives in Sacramento. Right. And we thought it'd be this great situation, and then it turned out to be just horrible. She had a terrible, terrible experience, crying every night and every morning. I finally had to pull her out of it, and I didn't really have a plan B. And all of the 5th grades either had waiting lists or were impacted. I called 12 schools. I couldn't find one to get her into. And so she ended up going to Zoom school in the corner in my office. And I'd be having meetings over here, and then I'd turn around and I'd say, and here's my daughter, Sophia, going to Zoom school.
Right.
So she's been there for a lot of the interesting meetings that I've had. But it was definitely challenging. So it was not take your daughter to work day, just one day. It was every day for about 5 months.
Okay, yeah, I've always wondered. It can be really tough on kids with the type of schedule that you keep. But every time I've seen Sophia, she seems to be so happy and engaged in the different things that y'all are doing.
She's amazing.
Now, she is. She really is. So you had a big day at work yesterday.
Yes.
You and your colleagues just passed the new budget. And so thank you for getting that done on time. And we, as the taxpayers, we do appreciate that. So what are some of the highlights and maybe even some of the lowlights of this year's budget?
Yeah, I think my colleague, who actually is my seatmate, Assemblymember McCarty, said it the best. He said this is an A- budget. And so I know there's been a lot of narrative about how we have a deficit and it's less than last year. Last year was really an unprecedented record budget. We can't really compare to last year. And so, even with us being at a deficit compared to last year, this budget is still bigger than any pre-pandemic budget year that we had.
Right.
And so, so we're still able to make huge investments in things that California cares about, that our community cares about. It's the biggest investment that we've ever made in K through 12 schools, which we're very, very excited and happy to do. And making sure that we're supporting, our kids in the classroom, and also the teachers and educators who have been, making a lot of sacrifices, especially these last few years that have been so hard with COVID. So that's a really, I think, big highlight. There's been big investments in healthcare, investments in addressing climate change and how we make sure that we have a grid that can sustain the kinds of electrifications that we're doing in our future. Yeah, which is a big, big issue. And fortunately, I'm on utility and energy, where we're dealing with a lot of that as well. And so, this budget really, it invests a lot in housing, a lot in addressing homelessness. And but it's also a work in progress. One of the unique things about this budget is that while we had the deadline to pass the budget, it's a framework, and it's a very specific framework. But we know that we'll probably have to make some adjustments because of all of the flooding and emergencies that happened this year. There were a lot of emergency declarations, and basically almost in every county, I think, except for one in California.
Wow.
And so all of those counties were allowed a delay in filing taxes until October. And so that means we don't really know our exact tax revenue until October. So our work is not done around the budget. There's going to be some trailer bills also to address some more specific policy issues. And so it's the big, grand hoo-ah is not over.
Okay.
It's still coming, but I think that this sets us in a really strong foundation, and then we can tweak at the edges depending on how those numbers come back in October.
Okay. You mentioned energy and utilities, and I know you sit on some key committees. I do want to talk about that. We're going to take a quick break, though. Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo joins me this morning. We're so grateful that you're able to take the time. I know how busy your schedule is, but like I said, when we get back, I want to talk about some of those committees that you sit on, as well as some of the bills that you've introduced, because boy, you have been busy.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that when we get back. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye in the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley. So fortunate to be joined this morning by California's 40th District Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo. Assemblywoman Schiavo, as I mentioned before the break, you've been very busy since you were sworn in. One of the assembly committees that you were assigned to is the Utilities and Energy Committee, and I mentioned I wanted to talk about that. Things have been, well, I guess erratic to say the least with our utilities over the last couple of years. I don't remember, them ever being so all over the place. We've had difficulty keeping electricity on here in Southern California and in your district. And back around the holidays, I think it was the natural gas bill. For whatever reason, everybody's gas bill tripled, quadrupled, shot through the roof, and then the next month came back down. And I don't know about everybody else. I actually got a refund, and so it was just. I think the right word is erratic. So can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with our energy, and then what can be done to stabilize things going forward?
There's a lot happening in this space. And so, it's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be on this committee. I also have a select committee on electric vehicles and infrastructure too, because I got one a year ago. I can tell that story if we need to. But I realized we are not there yet. So it's been really, really, I've been really happy that I've been able to be part of these important conversations. The gas prices were just incredibly frustrating. And honestly, there's still investigation going on around that at the federal level, which I am waiting with bated breath to find out the results of, because There wasn't really a good reason. The only reason, utilities are heavily regulated, and so, they basically get a lump sum to provide the service, and then the cost of gas is passed through to the consumer, right?
Right.
And so, one of the things that they do is they'll build up gas storage so that when it gets more expensive in the winter, so in the summer they'll build up gas storage, in the winter then they can draw that down when gas prices get higher. And they had done everything they were supposed to do according to, coming before us in these hearings. They had gas storage, but for some reason they still bought gas at the most expensive possible price they could have bought. And instead of drawing down more, instead of doing other things that they could have done. Interesting. Yes, it is very interesting. And so why did that happen? And that's really the question that we're trying to figure out. And, we at our office were just inundated with calls and people really, really struggling. We had a senior, this story really stuck with me, who, in November, her gas bill was $77 or something.
Right.
And then in January, it was $470, and when you're a senior on a fixed income, you can't afford that kind of increase.
Right.
So it was, I know the gas companies did, we put a lot of pressure on them. They came back with programs to help people pay their bills, especially low-income folks, and some other, millions of dollars of investments. But still, that's not enough when a lot of people still have this and are paying off these bills that they couldn't afford. So we have an opportunity to, dial down on the issues that we can figure out and call for investigations and ask the hard questions, which, I love doing. We also had the oil companies come before us around the gas spikes that happened last year. And, and really the reason they gave us is they charged that much because they could. They
well, okay, I suppose that's why anybody does anything.
Right, yeah, supply and demand. And what I said is, well, that translates to me that you can just charge this much, and so you are,
right.
You can't
do anything about it.
Right, exactly. And so that's one of the reasons, I supported the transparency bill to really get to, they suddenly had shut down all of these refineries at the same time. So that's one of the reasons there was very little supply.
That makes sense.
And it was manufactured, really. It could have been avoided.
Yeah.
And people were suffering for months. And so, these are the kinds of things that we're able to shed a light on and then also follow up with policy so that when we figure out what actually happened, how did this fail, we can follow it up with policy to address the situation so it doesn't happen again in the future. So, there's a lot happening around those, and then a lot to figure out how we get to the future, policies around figuring out how we can have regional energy so that when California is low, we can draw from other areas.
Yeah.
There are a lot of policies around the electrification of our future, making sure that it's easy for people to access and use as a new EV user. I have a million apps on my phone just to be able to charge. Sometimes they're broken. It can be so frustrating. And so it's I actually introduced a bill to electrify roads so you could wirelessly charge while you drive, which is a new technology that I think we need to just jump ahead to, because when it took 4 extra hours for me to drive from LA to Sacramento for Thanksgiving last year, and my daughter's crying in the parking lot at 11:30 just wanting to get there, I was like, this is not going to work for people.
Right. Running out of gas is a real thing.
And,
and that's why we've got so many gas stations all over the place. But running out of electricity in your electric vehicle and then trying to figure out what to do about it can be chaotic if we don't have the infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate you and your colleagues, taking a look to see and holding the utilities accountable. You also sit on the Emergency Management Committee as well as a joint legislative committee on emergency management. So this is a big one in California, but the landscape of emergency management is really changing quickly, right?
Yes.
We've always dealt with wildfires and earthquakes, but the landscape of wildfires is really shifting. With climate change, they're becoming a lot more prevalent, larger in scale. Here in our community, we've really dealt with a lot of that over the last few years, and then public health crisis. became a reality, not just here in California, but it's certainly something. It's no longer a Dustin Hoffman movie, you know.
Right.
So, can you tell us what's on the radar for these two committees?
Yeah, emergency management has been focusing a lot on fires. In this winter, this incredibly wet winter, which we really needed, but also brought a lot of devastation with it.
Right.
With the floods and the coast and valleys were just pummeled. That was also a lot of the focus of what we did, how we are better prepared for these kinds of emergencies and make sure that communities are not so impacted. A lot of it's structure and infrastructure investments that we need to do, that there's a lot of money going into, unfortunately, a lot of federal funds coming around too, but we're trying to figure out how and where and when, and ramping it up as quickly as possible. We just had an emergency hearing jointly with the insurance committee about fire insurance, which I'm sure people have been hearing about State Farm not issuing any new policies in California. Another company is looking like they're following. It could be a really, really concerning situation. And the reality is, and especially, I think we all know in Santa Clarita Valley, I represent also San Fernando Valley, both surrounded by hills that burn every year.
Yeah.
But also, I'm right next to the hills. We have 700 units in our community, and not one of them has ever burned. And so we have to be smart about the policies that we make. And so we're looking at how are we, creating policies that you can use a scalpel to figure out where really are the high fire danger areas instead of just, a jackhammer, with just grabbing all of the San Fernando Valley and all of Santa Clarita. And so I think that there's policies that we can put forward in California where a lot of other states are already doing it, where we can be smarter and bring more calculated risk to companies that are taking on real risk. And so there's a real balance that we have to figure, because the truth is insurance companies have paid out a lot around these recent huge wildfires. And then California has made a lot of headway around mitigating fires and really trying to prevent fires before they happen. And there's a lot that can actually happen in that space to prevent fires. So I think those are the things that we're going to really be focusing on.
Okay, I mentioned how busy you've been. Yours is a busy job, but you in particular have been extremely busy, and I know you're very proud of this. You've introduced recently 11 bills in the Assembly, and all 11, I believe, have made it out and onto the Senate, so congratulations for that. Are there maybe 2 or 3 of those that you'd like to highlight for us? What are a couple of bills that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I would say I'm proud of our whole package, and I think we have bills on issues that are really important to the Santa Clarita Valley around housing and homelessness and that crisis. It's a huge, huge focus of ours. I co-founded an organization working on homelessness, and so this is something I really want to tackle and solve in a real way. Healthcare, as I mentioned before, expanding that for moms and babies, making sure that folks who are kind of caught in the middle where they don't get enough of a subsidy to be able to afford their healthcare and use it, they're just paying for healthcare but can't afford to use it. Making sure that we're covering those premiums, that actually both the mom and baby care and the and supporting those kind of families in the middle, those were both in the budget, and we're super excited that those bills got funded. And around housing and homelessness, things that make a real difference for people, things to get folks IDs, because you don't think about it, but when you're, experiencing homelessness, you lose your ID a lot. It gets stolen, it gets swept, and you can't get a job and you can't get housing if you don't have an ID. So we're trying to make sure that that's free and accessible for folks and other documents that people need, like birth certificates. And then just streamlining a lot of red tape at the statewide level to make sure that we can get housing online as quickly as possible, especially housing people can afford. So those are really the things that we're focusing on. We also have a bill here specifically that really impacts Santa Clarita. The Cemex mine has been trying to develop for 30 years. The city has filed a lawsuit. There's been a fight for for 30 years, really. And so we are carrying a bill jointly with Scott Wilk, who's carried this bill in the past, and are very happy. This was one of our bills that got through the first house into the second house, which hasn't happened before, which would just require that the State Water Board take another look at projects who have been in process for 30 years. And this would be the second largest aggregate mine in the whole United States, which is, like a gravel mine. 1,400 truck trips on the 14, every day. That sounds like a nightmare. So, so we're really excited to move that forward, and that our community should have a voice in this project, especially when you think about how much water needs have changed over the last 30 years. We need to be able to really talk about how that's going to impact our community that needs that water.
Yeah. Those of you driving on the 14 freeway right now, I hope you're paying attention, because this is definitely going to impact you. And speaking of impact, I do really appreciate, as a teacher, I appreciate you focusing on children and families and making sure they have what they need. And it also impacts me as a taxpayer as well, because that's going to really help mitigate crime in the future and help improve our economy. So appreciate those kind of investments. Gosh, it seems like this is your first time coming in since you've been elected, but your term is about 25% over already, and so now you've already accomplished quite a bit. Looking forward to the next 18 months. What are kind of your priorities as you continue to move forward?
So we still have to get our bills through the Senate, so that's a big focus of ours. We will not be done until the middle of September, so that's going to be our primary focus over the next few months. And then, what we've consistently been working and I think doing a really good job of balancing is also making sure that we're present in the district and really supporting folks here. And so, through our district office, we've been helping people with EDD claims or, issues that they may have with agencies at the statewide level. And just in our first 100 days, we were able to bring back $250,000. So to individuals in our community. So people, have really been impacted in a big way. And we really want to make sure that we're taking advantage of the power of this office and the opportunity that we have to really help folks in our community and make sure that makes a real change in their lives. And so, folks can call our office for any help that they need at state agencies, and we're happy to help them. And, we're doing a bunch of events to make sure that I'm, connected with what are the important issues in our community, talking with folks in the community. We have a hike coming up on Saturday. We're doing regular hikes because I love hiking. I figure we might as well hike and talk about politics.
There you go.
But also just learning about this beautiful area that we live in, and all of the hidden gems that we don't even know about when we're walking around in these hills. So we have a lot of really great work that we're doing. We just had a emergency preparedness event last weekend. That was really well attended. The city of Santa Clarita came, CHP, fire, a number of folks were there in partnership, the Red Cross. So we're going to keep doing events like this going forward. We'll have an event for seniors, one back to school, and making sure that we're really, using every lever that we have to make sure that there's a change in our community, and it really makes a difference for people.
Okay. You mentioned everything that you're doing for your constituents, and I don't think enough of our neighbors know that they can actually pick up the phone. They can jump on an email and reach out to you in your office and say, "Hey, I need some help with this." Is that something that somebody would just go to the website and get in contact with your team?
Yes, they can go to our website, which I don't know off the top of my head, but I should.
But you know what? Google Pilar Schiavo.
It'll pop up.
It's going to be, I guarantee you, their search engine optimization is perfect, and you'll be able to find them. I know Andrew and Andrea and everybody else at the office are working so really hard to make sure that everybody's taken care of. So I want to encourage you, definitely reach out to all of your representatives, but here in the 40th District, reach out to Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo's office. She is representing California's 40th Assembly District. We've got a lot more to talk about when we come back, but we're going to take a quick break. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by California's 40th District Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo. She's working hard for the citizens of California, and especially our constituents here in the 40th District in the North San Fernando Valley and Santa Clarita Valley. We were talking before the break about everything that you and your office has done for your constituents, getting them, the refunds that they're due, and helping them work through a lot of legislative paperwork that can really be a nightmare for someone who doesn't know the system. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows how to reach out to you and your office if they do need some support. Do you have a phone number, a website, something that folks can utilize to get a hold of you and the amazing team that you've put together?
Absolutely, yes. The break let me pull up the information. Thank you. So people can call 661-286-1565. 661-286-1565. To just call our office. We're right here in Santa Clarita. Super easy for folks to access. You can follow us at on social media. Also, all of our handles are at ASM, like Assembly, Pilar Schiavo, which no one knows how to spell, so it's Pilar.
That one's the easy one.
That's the easier
one.
The
last name is the hard one.
SCHIAVO.
Just like it sounds, Schiavo.
Schiavo.
All right.
Some people think so.
Okay. You also mentioned before your love for hiking and how you really do explore some of the beautiful treasures that we have here in Southern California, especially in the Santa Clarita Valley. I don't know how you're able to do it with your busy schedule up in Sacramento and then all the different appointments and commitments that you have, but you keep very active aside from your legislative schedule. You're hosting, you mentioned community hikes. Let's hike and talk about politics. Personally, I can't hike and talk about anything. I just got to breathe.
Yes, we'll be doing that too.
You're doing, now here's something a little bit more my speed. You do ice cream socials, pastries in the park, and then you're also attending events like you were at the Santa Clarita Valley Man and Woman of the Year Gala, the Memorial Day celebration at Eternal Valley. You're helping... Gosh, you're building homes for veterans, and you even, and shout out to SCVI, you attended the recent play Into the Woods at SCVI Charter School. Good. First of all, how do you find the time? Because I struggle to get to our own school's plays from time to time. And then why is it so important to you to attend and create these events to be with your constituents?
I love people, honestly, and so if I weren't doing this for my job, I'd probably be this busy anyway.
Okay, all right.
So it's really a perfect job for me. But I think it's really important. I just want to have my finger on the pulse of what's going on in our community, what are the important issues in our community, and connect with as many people as I can. I come out of a community organizing model where those one-on-one, face-to-face conversations are critical. I believe in that. I believe in having conversations and connecting with people, and so I want to create opportunities to do that. And I think that it's really important. One of the frustrations and one of the reasons I ran is because I didn't feel like enough was happening in Sacramento. And, and government, I feel like, can be so disconnected in a lot of ways. And so I want folks to really feel like they can easily connect up with us, talk about the issues that they care about, talk about, legislation that's going through Sacramento, or, just help that they need with the department in Sacramento. All of those things, we're the front lines of being able to connect with your state government. Yeah. And so we want to bring that out to folks. We're doing mobile office hours. Our district staff, like I said, is amazing. They're bringing our office out into the community. So we've actually had office hours while our office is here up near Magic Mountain in Santa Clarita. We've been in Canyon Country, we've been throughout the San Fernando Valley, having mobile office hours and making sure that we're accessible to folks. And so it's really important to me, not that many people get this kind of opportunity to be elected and represent their community and bring the power of state government back to their community. And I'm not taking any of that for granted. I want to make sure that we're connecting with folks as much as we can around the important issues that, everybody really needs solutions to.
Thank you for that, because I think you're right. The government can seem so large and abstract and
Right.
distant from the general citizen. It's wonderful that somebody can throw on a pair of sneakers and sweatpants and stomp around and then approach one of their legislators and say, "Hey, I'm worried about water resources or homelessness or school safety or
Right.
or things like that." And so we really do appreciate you, and I know we're really fortunate here in this area. A lot of our elected representatives are really close to the people. I think that's
Yes.
that's really important. And I know that that KHTS reaches much of your constituency, and I think we bleed over the hill into the San Fernando Valley a little bit. Is there anything else that we need to be aware of, or that you want to get a message out to your constituents?
I think the main thing really is, please do connect with us, either at one of these events that can be really fun, or, through our office, if there's something that you want to make sure we know about. We want to make sure that, the process in Sacramento, the legislative process, is not too confusing for folks, and explain that to people, and just make everything about what we're doing at the statewide level more accessible to folks. And so, please give us a call. Please visit our website, check out our social to get updates and events that are coming up. Come join us for a hike on Saturday.
That's
and
right.
it's at Placerita.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at Placerita Canyon,
8:30 a.m.
Beautiful hike right out there by
Yes.
the Oak of the Golden Dream. Okay, so 8:30 a.m. Placerita Canyon, and folks can join you. And so, okay, I always get stressed out in those social situations. So, what's the protocol? Like, do people have to take a number to ask you a question while they're
No.
hiking, or is it we're just a bunch of folks hiking
Just
and
a bunch of folks hiking.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to get to talk to everybody who's there. And then we'll have guides. The last one we did actually in the Santa Susana Mountains right by my house. We had guides who, taught us a bunch of interesting stuff about the history, about, where we could see the wagon trails. We could find, pieces of tools that Native Americans used.
Wow.
And so there's so much history in our mountains that we're able to learn from. I think it's just really interesting for folks to join. But we'll have some of that interesting stuff for folks, and then, they can come and hike with me, and as long as we can catch our breath and talk, we'll chat as much as we can.
You're in a lot better shape than I am, so I'm sure you'll be able to handle it. And then you mentioned folks can always reach out to your office. One more time, it's 661-286-1565. 286-1565. All right. And then, of course, if you're a little bit more digitally inclined, it's a40.asmdc.org, and folks can get to your website, reach out to your team. I know how approachable they are all as well.
Yes.
And so folks can reach out, and if they've got any needs, at all. I know if you can't help directly, you can get them directed. So we started out by hitting you with one of the tough questions, right? Your favorite summer song, and I'm going to be dialing up Harry Styles a little bit later on in the day. We're coming into Father's Day, and you mentioned your dad and how important he is. First of all, before I ask you, when you do talk to him, which I'm sure you will, thank him for his service, because just stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll serve, is a noble thing, and we're all so grateful for it. But then the capacity in which he did serve has had a profound and devastating impact on not only the rest of his life, but a huge impact on yours as well. So I know you're busy, and you do stay accessible. You're going to be hiking in Placerita Canyon this weekend, but are you going to be able to see Dad? Are you going to be able to at least pick up the phone, give him a call, and
Yes.
celebrate the day with him?
Absolutely. I typically am the one, my family is a little bit spread out. I'm here, my brother's in Sacramento, and my other brother is in Oregon. And so we'll usually organize a family Zoom to be able to, see our dad and on these holidays and be able to talk with him directly. But yeah, luckily I've been able to see him quite a bit recently. So
that's good.
One of the benefits of being in Sacramento is they're a little bit closer. And so, I've been able to see them on my mom's recent 75th birthday.
Oh.
And they actually were here last weekend on the way to go to on a little weekend trip with some relatives who are visiting town. So so
fantastic.
it's been really good to see them.
Yeah, and although the technology's been available, I think COVID, that's one of the things it did teach us is we don't have to be together to connect. I know my big brother he just recently moved out of town, and he's a little melancholy that he's not going to be able to be around Dad or his kids for Father's Day, but we're looking forward to Zoom helping him connect, and I'm glad that you're able to do the same thing. Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo, I know how busy you are again, but you and your team have always been so gracious to make time for us. We'd love to have you back anytime you've got anything you want to talk about, or I'll be picking up the phone pretty frequently to bug your team, as I like to do. So you have a great weekend, have a great hike out there at Placerita Canyon, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. We are coming to you live from the center of Main Street here in beautiful downtown Newhall. You know, it was gorgeous for senses last night out there on Main Street. It's going to be another gorgeous weekend here. What are you doing this weekend? What are you doing to celebrate summer and dads? And gosh, make sure that you're making plans. But I'm really excited. Gosh, we've already had an amazing show. We had Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo in studio just the last hour. And now joining me is Jessica Boyer. Jessica is a visual storyteller whose background in community journalism and media has provided her the opportunity to share hundreds of stories throughout her career so far. She's currently the executive director of SCVTV, the Santa Clarita Valley's local nonprofit community media center, where she oversees programs that promote, talk about popping your peas, the community's nonprofits, schools, businesses, events, and other organizations. Productions that she oversees include Finding Art Santa Clarita, SCV's Community Corner, Soundcheck, 5-Minute Foodie, as well as multiple documentary and oral history pieces, including a 2-hour documentary about the city of Santa Clarita's 30th anniversary titled City of Santa Clarita Fulfilling the Dream. She's facilitated projects that directly benefit nonprofit organizations and students, including hands-on training on SCVTV productions and free public service announcements for nonprofits and schools. Jessica also serves on the SCV Education Foundation Board of Directors and the Santa Clarita Valley 4th of July Parade Committee, and the college, as well as the College of the Canyons and Hart School District Media Entertainment Arts Advisory Boards. And she was also honored as one of the Santa Clarita Valley's 40 Under 40 class of 2018. You certainly keep busy. Jessica, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
What? Thank you so much. That was such a lovely introduction. I appreciate that.
Well, you have got, I have to tell you, you've got one of the more impressive bios of a lot of the guests that we have, and you are still quite young. How you have not been nominated for Woman of the Year yet is beyond me. Santa Clarita, get on that. So let's start with, we talked about all the work that you're doing to highlight Santa Clarita history. Let's talk about the Jessica Boyer history in Santa Clarita. You grew up out here. Were you born in Santa Clarita? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing here in the Valley.
I was not born in Santa Clarita, but my family moved here shortly after I was born. So I grew up in Saugus. I went to Highlands Elementary School and went to Arroyo Seco Junior High, Saugus High School. Had a fantastic time. Yes, go Centurions. And went to COC, graduated from COC and CSUN. And yeah, I love Santa Clarita.
I love that. You kind of followed my path a little bit, and in graduating from all the local line of schools. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to Highlands, but other than that, yeah, you and me at Arroyo Seco, Saugus.
Yeah,
you were a couple of years behind me, I'm guessing.
But us Saugus alums stick together.
Yeah, definitely. and CSUN is also my old tomato, so love it. Engineer Carlos is back here celebrating as well, and so clearly you have a love and passion for our community, giving so much of your time serving on boards and nonprofits in town. So can you talk to our listeners about why that's important to you to give back? Because these aren't just, little meetings that you show up for and you do the thing and then you move on. There's a lot of work, huge time and often financial commitment as well. So why is that important to you?
So that goes back to growing up in Santa Clarita. My parents enrolled me in Girl Scouts, and like highly recommend Girl Scouts because you get this diverse opportunity to be able to work with different nonprofits and give back to the community. And so I blame them. It's their fault. But now I am just, it's my passion to be able to help people. That's all I want to do is be able to help and problem solve. And so being on the board for the SCV Education Foundation, I care about education. I care about giving people opportunities to learn and experience things. I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had, especially in my career, if it wasn't for Oreo Seiko giving me the opportunity to be in their video production program, and Saugus giving me the opportunity to be in their video production program. I got kicked out of that program because I was a bad student. But then I got my way back in, and now
Interesting.
To this day, it's a fun story I like to tell because you don't have to be the perfect student. You have to figure things out when you're in high school, and that was, I kind of had to figure some stuff out and realized, I really screwed up. Like I care about this a lot, and I need to get my stuff together. And now the instructor and I are extremely close. He brings his students over to SCVTV all the time, and we do a lot of hands-on training. But the work that I do is really heavy in education and nonprofits, just because I think that it's important to give people opportunities.
Wow, I love it. Scandal and redemption on Centurion Way. That is fantastic. And, I'm with you. It is, we do live in such a beautiful community, but that is an important part of our community is us giving back and making it and keeping it as amazing as it is. And so we do appreciate your work and your support. And so let's talk about, you talk about, giving and working. Talk about these organizations in particular and what it is that these organizations do that you serve for our community. How are they giving back?
Of course. So, as I said, I'm on the board of directors for the SCV Education Foundation, which is a fantastic organization that provides opportunities and services to teachers and students, educators in our community, as I know you're very passionate about as well. And I'm also on the advisory committees for the Boys and Girls Club, so I do a lot of work with them, especially in marketing and getting information out to the community. I also do work with COC and Heart District's media and television production advisory committees, just kind of trying to give back on the experience that they gave me and advising to, this is where I think this should go, or these are the types of people we should bring in, or maybe these are the types of programs or the equipment that you should include in your next fiscal year. And those are really rewarding because I get to try and support the educators that support so many of our students, so many people that go into the film and TV and journalism industry, which is really the backbone of one of the backbone pieces of the Santa Clarita Valley economy. And I'm the executive director of SCVTV, which I'm very grateful to have this position. I'm very honored for the opportunity. I've been in the position for about 1.5 years now. Okay. But I've been with SCVTV for about 8 years. KHTS gave me my start in my professional career, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I had at KHTS. And both organizations really, work hard to support the nonprofits in our community because we know that the services they provide really fill in the gaps and really kind of bring us all up together. It helps the community grow and prosper together. So by giving back to those nonprofits, especially, we work with hundreds of nonprofits every year at SCVTV, specifically with our shows and programs by giving them highlights. But we also, we provide free public service announcements, and I try to provide training opportunities for nonprofits. How do you write a press release? How do you make a public service announcement? I mean, we're all carrying around phones that you can use and record videos now, and so giving people the tools to be able to tell their own story is a huge vital piece of the work that I do at SCVTV.
I love that, and it's kind of a beautiful crossover between your community service and your professional work. And I want to follow up on a couple of different things. Actually, you sort of traced it out a little bit. Your journey, your professional journey that started in a classroom at Arroyo Seco, but talk to us a little bit about that journey. What is it that you did for KHTS and then that ultimately took you to SCVTV? Walk us through your professional journey a little bit.
Yeah, of course. My mom is a huge fan of KHTS. Right. She's been for a really long time. And I was in college at COC. I was studying to get my degree in photography. Okay. And she saw this internship post on Facebook from KHTS that said, hey, we need a photojournalist. And I knew nothing about photojournalism, but I knew that I loved taking pictures and telling people's stories through pictures. And so I came in and I worked on, I just kind of dove in, really. Right. I interned and then I was hired on, and the management here was incredibly kind and gave me a lot of training, taught me how to be a writer. Wow. And I worked my way up to being an interim news director here. I ended up taking a step back to kind of focus on school a little bit, a lesson I had learned at Saugus, bringing it back. And then when I found some more time, Leon at SCVTV needed a writer to just come in and help post press releases. That's where I started at SCVTV, was just to post press releases. So, and I worked my way up there, and finally stepping into the news director, or not news director role, the executive director role. Yeah. This past year. So.
And then for those, and I don't know, I'm sure there's maybe somebody out there that isn't fully aware of SCVTV and what it is that you do. You talked about highlighting a lot of the local nonprofits and providing public service announcements, things like that. But if you had maybe an escalator speech, a little bit longer than an elevator speech, and someone were to say, SCVTV, what is it that you do as a media outlet? And then what do you do, Jessica, as executive director?
Of course, SCVTV is one of my favorite things to talk about. We are the Santa Clarita Valley's nonprofit community media center and television station. So for the last almost 30 years, we have been producing programs and offering training opportunities for the Santa Clarita Valley. And those programs focus heavily on the humanities of our community: history, arts, culture, nonprofits, storytelling, just giving people those opportunities and that platform to tell their story. Okay. We also offer a ton of training opportunities. The amount of people that come through SCVTV's doors is amazing, and it grows every year. And they go on and create their own production companies or work for local companies, local, J&M, SOS, different entertainment companies, production companies, studios. We've had people go on to win Emmys, and so we're really proud of being able to take these students and people that want to, all ages of people that want to learn, and also they work and create those programs that are so vital to the nonprofits in our community. We are a 501c3. Not many people know that.
I am one of those people that did not know that. Okay. Yeah,
we are a 501c3. It hasn't always been a 501c3. There's kind of this long history that I'd be happy to tell you when we have more time another day.
Okay, okay.
But we started as a public access station back in the day. I always tell people to think about Wayne's World. I tell the younger people Bob Ross, even though Bob Ross was a PBS show, if you want to get technical about it. But we're a 501c3 now, and our scope is much bigger than a public access station. And so I encourage people to check out our social media and our website and everything. My role as the executive director is SCVTV is going through a transition. I mean, we're approaching our 30th birthday, and as a lot of people do when they approach their 30th birthday, they're looking at themselves, they're looking at the things that they like about themselves, the things that they want to improve on, the things that are good for their relationships.
All right.
So SCVTV is going through a lot of changes right now. We're doing a little bit of a transformation, and so I encourage people to kind of watch as we go through our transformation in the next couple of years, and really grow and really come into ourselves and see what we're going to be offering.
Wow, that's quite a teaser. and you know, I didn't realize that that y'all have been around for that long, for 30 years. But yeah, I guess it has been, SCVTV's been something that I have counted on and tuned in. And, you know, it's one of those things where oftentimes you just pop it on to see what's happening and then find yourself getting stuck there for a little while as the different programs are talking about. I happen to be a huge fan of the local history, right? So, boy, Leon just, he sings my song. And so, yeah, I find myself.
Matt, we went to the Boys and Girls Club auction a few weeks ago.
Right.
And the video that was played during the auction was a video that we produced. We've been producing that video for different videos for them for Auction and Festival of Trees, as well as a number of nonprofits. So we do a lot of production services as well. If you went to Silver Spur, we produced the Silver Spur piece the last couple of years. And so it's not only on our cable channels, we're also on Roku and Apple TV now. So if people want to have their smart TVs and want to tune in, they can. But we also have all of our content on demand on our websites. And we have a daily newsletter that has all of the press releases and articles and videos that we publish. So there's a lot of different ways that people can access SCVTV and learn about like what's happening there.
Building a media empire and here for your 30th birthday, like we do. Like I loved the analogy, right? Taking a look, examining, and rethinking what SCVTV can be moving forward, and make sure that you are tuned in to see where they go next. We're talking this morning with Jessica Boyer, Executive Director of SCVTV. When we get back, Jessica's working to help put on our annual 4th of July parade this year. And so a lot of details about that coming up. You're going to want to stay tuned. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and I'm joined this morning by Jessica Boyer. She is the Executive Director of SCVTV. So, Jessica, I want to digress just a little bit, because earlier this morning we were talking about summertime songs. You know, it's funny. Summer has really struggled to get here this year. It's been stuck in traffic and still dealing with a little, feels like engine problems, but it seems like this weekend we're going to get a summertime preview, and that got me thinking about summer songs. And so I asked the Assemblywoman Schiavo, who was here earlier, and she went with, I love it, she went with Harry Styles' Watermelon Sugar. Great summertime song, and you know, I'm a particular fan of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince's Summertime. That one's an easy pull. Cruel Summer by Bananarama. I'm a child of the 80s, as you can probably imagine. So as summer starts to creep in, do you have a song that just sings your summer playlist?
I was telling you about this during the break. I'm the worst. I'm constantly switching between different music. There's constantly music playing everywhere I am, and it's just constantly going. And so I'm always switching. But I am the resident Swiftie in my office. I was the resident Swiftie here at KHTS. Like, I'm really the resident Swiftie wherever I go. And so, I mean, I can tell you I'm excited because she's finally dropping Cruel Summer as a single. Yeah. And so I'm excited about that. And I'm excited to have Speak Now Taylor's version coming out just in time for the summer. So fantastic. Really looking forward to that.
So I love it because for me, I was thinking like this is a nostalgia kind of thing. Not you. You're flashing forward to summertime songs. I love that. That is fantastic. All right, so I mentioned before the break, we were talking about all the work that you do in and for the community, not just professionally with SCVTV, but all the volunteer work that you do for the various nonprofit boards that you sit on. and you're also working with the organizers of the Santa Clarita 4th of July Parade, which is just about the best parade ever anywhere, I think. So can you tell people what they can expect on the 4th of July if they decide to attend?
Of course, yeah. The Santa Clarita Valley 4th of July Parade Committee is very excited to be back again this year, and it's amazing. There's usually about 100 entries, which range in all different sizes, from fire trucks to Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, our veterans, to just everyone that you can imagine comes out and to celebrate the 4th of July, our Independence Day. And this year's theme is celebrating Independence Day, the SCV way, live, work, play.
All right.
And so, just thinking about all the different things that our community does amazing, like in the businesses and the recreation and just all the different groups that really make our community this really special place. And so we usually have about 25 to 30,000 attendees.
Get out. And
they line the streets of Newhall.
They do.
Yeah.
I know it's tough to find a spot on a curb here in downtown Newhall for the parade. I guess I never walked the route and counted folks. 30 to 40,000 people you're expecting.
Yeah, 25 to 30. I mean, we always say tens of thousands because, like, how can you count that?
Well, 20,000 is tens of thousands.
Yeah.
It's 10 plural, yeah. All right. Gosh, okay, so expecting a huge crowd. So can you give us some details, first of all, because I know it has changed a little bit over the years, the parade route, where it goes. I always like to laugh at my friends when bad things happen to them. They set up their chair in the same place every year, and then the parade route changes, and it doesn't
go
no!
By.
That's always a tragedy, right? You get out there early, you set up your chairs, you're waiting for the parade, and here they come. Where are they going? So let's make sure that everybody knows where the parade route is so they know where to set up their blankets and chairs and things like that. Let's make sure they know what time. So, yeah, what are the details?
So we start at the Newhall Roundabout at the southern end of Main Street. That's where the parade kicks off, comes north up Main Street, and then hangs a left on Lyons.
Okay.
And then hangs a right on Orchard Village.
Right.
And then a right on Dalby Drive.
Okay.
And that's the whole parade route.
Yeah.
And it starts at 9 a.m.
All right.
Although entrance people participating in the parade have to get
they got to get
there much earlier.
Way earlier.
But all of the information, we have maps, we have all the information, rules, regulations, everything is on the parade's website, scvparade.com. That's scvparade.com. And that has all the information. So if people want to register to participate, if people want to see the maps, if they want to get more information, it's all there, and we're updating it daily, and especially now that we're getting into the last few weeks before the parade.
Yeah, it's coming up, and folks are making plans already. I just went to scvparade.com. Beautiful website and very well organized. I'm looking here. You've got everything that folks would need to know. Parade registration, the routes, the maps. You've got a tag here for rules and restrictions and liability waivers. Is that like in case a parade float rolls over my foot or something like that?
The liability waiver is for the participants, so everybody has to sign a waiver.
See.
Just like, if you go to anywhere, you have to sign a waiver.
Right. And there, I'm looking at the rules as well. There are some important rules for participants as well as spectators.
Yes.
Right? We got to, there's going to be horses out there and kids out there.
Right. We want to keep this safe.
Yeah.
We want this safe. We want everyone to have a safe, enjoyable time. We want the 4th of July to be a fantastic day for everybody to be able to celebrate and enjoy time with their families and friends. And so it is important to check out the rules because there's a lot of good safety information.
Sure.
And there are live animals in the parade. There's going to be dogs. I hear that there's going to be some fantastic animals from Hart Park.
And let's get a llama out there.
They're talking about
march?
it. They're talking about it. I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But there's horses. and obviously loud noises.
Right.
And so we do a lot of work on the parade lineup to make sure that the horses are not next to the fire trucks. But it is also up to the responsibility of the viewers to make sure that, hey, we're not, making any loud noises or throwing anything.
Vuvuzelas or the little pop caps and things like that.
We don't want to scare anybody.
Sure.
And we also have, it's again important to remember, we have veterans that are participating in the parade. And a lot of those veterans are experiencing, PTSD and stuff like that. And so we want to make sure that we're being as safe and comfortable to everybody who wants to participate as possible.
You're absolutely right. And Jessica, unfortunately, I do want to mention it because it's directly affected my family. It's not just the veterans. 4th of July has taken on a whole different experience, become a whole different experience for my niece and a lot of kids who were in attendance at Saugus High School back in 2019. My niece doesn't do 4th of July anymore because of the tragedy that she and her classmates experienced. And so, let's make sure that this, what has been for decades a keystone and one of the best events in our community's annual calendar, let's make sure that we keep it an amazing event. You mentioned it starts at 9 a.m. on... Go figure, 4th of July, July 4th, 9 a.m. The participants need to line up pretty darn early. I've participated in the parade, and it's an early wake-up call. Spectators, do they need to arrive early, or is it something I can plan on rolling in at 5 minutes to 9 and finding a premium spot?
I can't advise on that because my call time is 5 a.m.
Oh, okay.
And so I usually get here before the streets close, and I usually leave after the streets are reopened and before the crowds get here and after the crowds leave. But I mean, I would prepare and make sure that, maybe kind of scope out a good spot. I know that a lot of people who especially live in the Orchard Village community put their chairs out the day before. So I would just make sure to kind of plan ahead and maybe talk to some other folks that have been to the parade before. However, I know KHTS does a live stream with their announcers. So if you want to tune into the radio, you can definitely check that out. I'm not sure if they're doing video this year. I would check out their Facebook and website to find out.
Hometownstation.com, I'm sure, has all the information. Yeah.
And SCVTV does a full live stream. This is SCVTV's biggest production of the year. We have a huge crew. A lot of them are students or volunteers that are helping out. Some of them are staff. But we do a full live stream, a fully mixed live stream with, I believe, 5 cameras. And so that if you don't want to come out, if you don't want to be here, you want to, but you still want to watch the parade, you still want to tune in, you can check it out on all of SCVTV's platforms. So I'm going to run through them really quick.
Please do.
Spectrum 20, AT&T 99, SCVTV.com, Roku, Apple TV, and I believe that's all of them. Yeah.
All right, so you got 5 different avenues.
Oh, and Facebook.
Facebook. 6
we'll be
different
on
avenues.
the SCVTV Facebook page, and I believe we'll be on the city's Facebook page. I'll double check on that one, but we will be on Facebook.
Sure you will. Yeah, so if you want to enjoy from the comfort of your home, check out SCVTV and any one of those 6 different avenues, and you can watch the parade live. My intel is telling me that if you plan on seeing it in person, and you don't want to stand in the back, then you're going to want to get to your spot on the parade route by about 8 a.m. and hang out, maybe have a bagel while. Hey, how about that? Stop by. I don't know if they're a sponsor. Stop by Western Bagel, grab a bagel, have breakfast while you're waiting for the parade to start, and then enjoy one of the premier parades in Southern California. Jessica, I'm looking at my notes here. Did a little bit of show prep, and it says that in 2018. As part of the adventures and excitement of the parade, y'all decided to stage an earthquake. Is that something that you're planning for this year as well?
I cannot confirm nor deny that we staged an earthquake.
Okay.
But I think we're all crossing our fingers and hoping that we don't have another one of those this year. But I remind everybody to make sure that you have your earthquake preparedness ready.
Right, there we go.
Make sure
You've got your radios and your batteries and your external chargers charged just in case. This is Southern California. You and I are both SoCal kids,
Yes.
and know that we can walk that line. We can straddle that line from time to time because. A little tremor from time to time, ooh, that can be fun. But I remember in '94, it started out as oh hey, cool, an earthquake. This is a big one. Mm-hmm. This is a long one.
Yeah.
This is really scary, and it can get scary really quick. So,
well, we're hoping for a very normal parade.
There we go.
We're hoping for no earthquakes, so everybody cross your fingers, knock on wood, do whatever you have to
do. Okay, so yeah, let's put that out into the universe. No earthquakes, low to mid 80s, beautiful day.
Yeah, we're manifesting a good day.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all have planned a good day. Things are going to go as planned, and so it's going to be great. I know. Are there other events that take place like after the parade? Is it are there pancakes and 5Ks and things like that like have happened in the past?
So there's several events that take part. They're not part of the parade committee's scope.
Okay.
But there are several things that happen during the parade. I believe Rotary's having their pancake breakfast again this year. And I know American Legion usually has some stuff going on, some hot dogs and stuff like that. And there's a 5K, 10K, and a couple other like running event things in New Hall as well that morning before the parade. Yeah. And then the city of Santa Clarita puts on a fantastic fireworks show if you're a person that loves fireworks, if you want to check them out. And it's a safe way because fireworks are illegal.
Yes.
No, if you are not permitted to light them off, you should not, because we're kind of keeping an eye out for fire season. We're getting in there. But
we live in a flammable community that has experienced gun violence. Keep the fireworks away. Yeah, and let's let the mall do it.
Exactly. Let the city of Santa Clarita put on their fireworks show and go ahead and check it out. And I know that you can see it from a huge radius. I used to live at the top of the back of Saugus, and we could see the city of Santa Clarita's fireworks show. So definitely check it out. There's a good view from everywhere around Santa Clarita.
Absolutely.
And let the professionals do the fireworks.
I love how the day kind of is just what you said. Our different community organizations kind of passing the baton to take our city through an amazing holiday, starting with the 4th of July parade that you and your colleagues are putting on, and into the pancake breakfast and the 5K and the 1K and the 401K and all that stuff. My boss offered me one of those, and I told him I couldn't run that far. But and then into the fireworks extravaganza that the city puts on. It's going to be a great holiday. I know that there are different businesses and organizations that are often thinking, hey, parade, that's a great way to get involved in our community. Is that something that maybe my Girl Scout troop or my business can get involved in, or is it too late at this point? I
have some good news and bad news.
Oh, okay.
I'll start with the bad news. So yesterday was the cutoff for the regular fee. So sorry.
But wait, you said the regular fee.
Yeah. So the good news is that we take late fees until June 22nd.
All right.
And so anybody can be part of the parade. You can be a group, a business, an individual. We have a lot of individuals that are like, hey, I have this super cool car and I just want to show it off.
Right.
And that's amazing. And and so I know we have a lot of fun surprises at this year's parade. And so people, if they want to participate, if you want to come out and maybe start a new tradition or continue a tradition, definitely go to scvparade.com and register. The fee's not too bad, so I definitely suggest, especially if you can bring some friends together, you guys can all pitch in and
I love it. So one more time, scvparade.com. Folks can get signed up. You're giving me a really good idea. I didn't realize that something as small as a single individual can enter the parade. I'm thinking, Big T, if you got your ears on, I'm thinking maybe you and I put together a little banner and we just hold one side and we enter the Frogger and Big T float. And I'm not sure that he and I can march the full parade route. We may need to take a break. So Jessica, if you could work it out, maybe we're toward the front of the parade lineup at the beginning of the parade. You schedule a little break for us. We can stop by. Gosh, I don't know. One of the fabulous
Jasmine's
breweries right here on the way.
Spruce and Oak or Eat Real.
Yeah, get a little refreshment, and then we'll wrap up at the tail end of the parade route or something like that.
Love it.
We'll have to look into it. Jessica Boyer is the executive director of SCVTV. Jessica, I know you're doing so much work for our community to highlight all the amazing things going on and to support them as well. Thank you for all that you do for our community, and thank you for coming in this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your show. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Alrighty, I want y'all to stick around because it's time for Big T's 5 minutes of big fame. Big T's 5 minutes of fame. Big T's going to be swinging by. Do you like fun? Do you like giggling? Do you like trivia? Well, then you're going to want to hang on. We're going to bring Engineer Andrew in here and see what he can do with trivia as well. This is SCVI, and I lead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI, and I lead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and now joining me in the studio is Engineer Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, brother?
Good morning.
All right, so we've been talking about summertime songs this morning, and I pulled, I think I finally settled on it was between Bananarama and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and so I'm going with the Fresh Prince in summertime. When you think of summer, what's the first song that pops into your head's playlist?
Oh, you nailed it right on the head.
All right.
That's the summer song.
Well, it's the first definition of summer madness.
Oh, of course.
All righty. And our Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo went with Harry Styles. Okay. Jessica Boyer, she actually flashed forward to Taylor Swift's Cruel Summer. So very cool, very cool. Glad to hear we're on the same page. All right, let's get right to this because this is Big T's 5 minutes of fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is a longtime resident and leader in the Wait a minute. Hold up. Stop the show. Hold on. Big T, are you there? Are you on the phone?
I'm here.
Big T, your intro says that you're a longtime resident and leader in the Santa Cruz Valley, but you ain't no resident of the Santa Cruz Valley anymore, are you? You relocated to Washington State? Say that again?
I'm still a leader, but I did relocate to Washington.
You did relocate to Washington, and man, it's been a rough one on the family this last week. But glad that you're doing well, and glad that you're getting settled in. You're up there in Central Washington. I think you're pretty close to the Oregon border, though. Can you see the Columbia River?
Yeah, hold on, let me stand up. Yeah, it's right over there.
All right, thank you for that. So, Big T, we're talking about summertime songs, right? And I know you love you some Fresh Prince, and I know you have what might be described as an unhealthy love for Bananarama. But have you got anything else in your summertime playlist? What's your go-to summer song, man?
Yeah, the one that brings back summer to me more than anything else, Matt, is probably the very first song released by Madonna, and it's Holiday, and it was back in the 80s when that was released, and that's when me and my boys were hanging out at the beach playing beach volleyball all the time, and so that just resonates and puts me right back in that place.
Celebrate! I like it. Okay. All right, so let's get into this. Really struggling with the intro because, like I said, it's shifted radically after 5.5 decades. Big T has left SoCal, but somehow he still manages to be Mom's favorite. I don't get it. Big T, so glad that even though you're not able to join us for Father's Day this weekend, you're able to join us on the show. That's what I call priorities. Jessica was mentioned in the parade, and I gave you a shout out. What do you think about you and I entering the parade? Can you make it down here for 4th of July? You and I can march in the parade?
Not going to happen.
I can't hold both sides of the banner, Tony.
No, I know, and I know you mentioned this has been rough on the family, Matt, but I do want to let you know that Duke and I talk every day.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make things as easy as possible.
That's the yellow lab, Duke.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's Tony's favorite child is the 3-year-old yellow lab. So, all right. So, for our friends who are listening that haven't heard your segment before, Tony, you've got trivia for us. Andrew and I are going to try to see if we can get some answers to these trivia questions. I'm going to go by Frogger, and we're going to buzz in. You're going to read the questions to us. We're going to buzz in by calling out our name. But our friends who are in their car or at home playing along, they've got a significant advantage. They can just shout out the answer. They don't have to shout out their name. I tell you what, I want to challenge you, if you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're in the office and listening to us, try to beat Andrew and I, but I don't think
engineer Carlos.
You're going to play, Carlos?
I'll try to get, the objective is to try to get at least 1 point. So if I do that, then I'll walk away with a success in my book.
There we go. I'm going to challenge our listeners to try to beat us, but I don't think you're going to do it because we're pretty good. All right. So now that I've talked a little smack, let's watch Tony skunk us. What have you got for us, Big T?
All righty. Let's kick it off. What two parts of the human body continue to grow throughout your life?
Frogger.
What's you?
Frogger.
I'm giving that one to Carlos. I think Carlos was in before me.
Oh, Carlos. Okay.
Is it your ears and your skin, perhaps?
I can't hear Carlos at all.
He said ears or skin.
Incorrect. He's got one of them correct.
Okay, I'm going, and we were actually discussing this at dinner, and I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Riley Me. Riley told me that it was ears and nose.
That is correct.
Go Riley! He's getting a point on that one, not Frogger. So Carlos, even though the kid who's probably still sleeping this morning has a point, you are not on the board yet.
All right.
Fantastic. What is the fastest growing plant in the world?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Medicinal marijuana.
Incorrect. Most widespread, but not fastest growing.
Oh, I see.
Nope.
Nothing. I think I've got it. Carlos, you got anything?
Is it cacti?
Incorrect.
Okay, not for a point, right? Because I already threw my answer. I think it's bamboo, isn't it?
Bamboo is correct.
Oh, okay.
Got to keep them pandas fed.
What Roman building is on the flip side of the 5-cent euro coin?
Andrew. Is it the Pantheon?
Incorrect.
Frogger. The Roman Colosseum.
The Roman Colosseum is correct. On which Hawaiian island would you find Diamond Head?
Frogger.
Frogger.
The Big Island, Hawaii.
Incorrect.
Andrew, Maui.
Incorrect.
Jeez.
Carlos, you got to have a guess.
Is it Kauai?
Kauai is incorrect.
All right.
My God.
Only a couple left.
Molokai.
Incorrect.
Got nothing.
Producer Sarah says zucchini.
Yeah.
Oahu.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're getting skunked today.
We got, as you mentioned before, we've got Father's Day coming up this Sunday, and going to break my heart. I'm not going to be able to see Dad, but of course I had to throw in some Papa's Sports Corner.
Yep.
So, who was the first Latin baseball player to be named World Series MVP in 1971?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I'm going with my boy Roberto Clemente.
Yes, it was Bobby.
Okay.
It was Bobby Clemente, Roberto Clemente. Yes.
Bobby.
On the board.
That's
Bobby.
a flashback to one of his boys. Yeah.
What U.S. sports team, pro sports team, holds the record for retired numbers?
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's got to be the Yankees.
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Good guess. They're number 2.
Andrew, I'm saying it's the Celtics.
Boston Celtics is correct.
Hey.
Nice pull, Andrew.
Nice.
What NBA legend helped found the International Volleyball Association?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I don't know that he's going to be a legend. So let me shift gears. I'm going to go with Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain.
It is Wilt the Stilt.
Yeah. Pulled that one out of my ever-growing nose.
Okay, everybody put their hand on their man card. The Academy Award-winning song "I've Had the Time of My Life" is from what movie?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Dirty Dancing. Don't waste my time.
All right.
Talk about a nose that's ever-growing.
Yes. Hand your card to Andrew now.
All right.
All right.
Here we go.
All right, I'll take it.
What's the diamond card in the game of Pinochle?
The what? The who?
I don't even understand the question.
Card in the game of Pinochle. Clearly, you don't play.
No.
Well,
Pinnacle is the brand of golf ball I use.
What?
So what's the answer on that one, T?
What do we got?
the golf ball you use, Matt, is called Lost.
Yeah, right.
It is the Jack of Diamonds.
Oh, okay.
All right.
What type of seed could give you a false positive on a drug test?
Frogger.
Oh, okay.
Frogger.
Elaine Bennis says it's the poppy seed.
Poppy seed. That is correct.
All right.
What breed of dog was the very first seeing eye dog in the U.S.?
Frogger.
Frogger.
German Shepherd?
German Shepherd's correct. Oh. What is the only nation that borders Israel and Libya?
Israel. And Libya?
Let me take out my map really quickly.
Israel and Libya. Are we sure about that? Okay, Frogger.
Frogger.
I got it. Egypt.
Egypt is correct.
Oh.
I'm thinking there's no way, because Libya's way over there and Israel's way... Oh, there it is.
What nationality was the first to pass through Ellis Island?
Frogger.
Frogger. The Ellis Island Station, I should
The Ellis Island Station. I'm going with Italy.
Incorrect.
England? English?
Incorrect.
Was it Ireland?
Good pull. Nice job.
There we go.
Oh!
Engineer Andrew, Carlos just tied you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I got
Friday.
the one. The objective is complete.
There we go. Carlos just retired.
What's the largest bone in the human body?
Oh, Valencia. Is the femur.
Femur's correct.
Ooh.
Pulling ahead.
Wow.
What kind of fruit juice is used to make the drink a Cape Codder?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Pomegranate.
Incorrect.
But I want to be correct.
Andrew, grapefruit?
Incorrect.
Tomato juice.
All incorrect. You want to keep guessing or you want me to lob it up?
Throw it.
Throw it up.
Cranberry.
Cranberry. Oh, hey. Producer Sarah got that one.
Hey.
Producer Sarah's a cocktailer. Allegedly.
And Big T's throwing a little bit of shade.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to get my butt kicked.
Right?
What popular snack is an ingredient in dynamite?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Peanuts.
Peanuts is correct.
Hey! Look at me. All right.
No
Unfortunately,
way.
there's not going to be much time to catch up. I'm running away with it, but we've got time for one more question, Big T.
Perfect. Little Little Red Riding Hood, who does the wolf dress up as?
Andrew.
Oh, there we go.
Grandma.
Grandma. That is correct.
We're going to need a first and last name, please.
Yes.
All right, looking at the scores, producer Sarah's got one. A sleeping Riley Me has got one somehow, and he's not even listening to the show. Carlos with 2, engineer Andrew with 2, Frogger with 8. Check me out. All right, Big T, we've got to wrap, but thanks so much for making sure that you make the time. Also want to thank our guests, Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo, Executive Director of SCVTV, Jessica Boyer, producer Sarah, engineer Carlos, engineer Andrew, Big T. Thank you for listening. Remember, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, have a great weekend, everybody. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley, on your hometown station, KHTS.